Good morning.
Judge McKenrick, we welcome you this morning, and we wait in anticipation of your opening statement.
Considering the environment I feel like starting out, may it please the commission. I'm Gary McKenrick. I'm a trial judge in the 7th District. I've been a trial judge for 17 years. The first 6 years I served on the District Associate Court bench. The last 11 years I've served on the District Court bench. We're here today, and the court and the court system are here today at really a perilous precipice. How we got here really isn't important to this commission's decision making. What's important for this commission as we move forward is to select 9 individuals who can help guide the court and the court system in the future and help the public of this state receive the fair, impartial, and timely justice that it deserves. I believe strongly in the fact that diversity of experience improves decision making. I think that's particularly true with respect to a court like the Supreme Court that makes group decisions. The court has responsibilities both substantively on the law and administratively concerning the court system and its functioning. The diversity of experience that the members of the court bring to those decisions, I believe, helps the court in their decision-making process and will help the court guide us in the future and help the people of the state receive that justice to which they're entitled. I strongly believe that I bring a real diversity of life and legal experience to the court. Life experience obviously comes from the experiences not only of the individual, but of his family background. Race, gender, geography, and ethnicity also play roles, although I think those really are at the surface. And I urge the Commission to look beyond those simple surface facts into the individuals who are before the Commission to examine their life experiences. As a teenager, the work that I did in the summers was farm work. I baled hay, I shelled corn, I detasseled corn, I walked beans. When I was thinking about that in preparation for today, it struck me that those jobs don't exist anymore. All of those jobs have become automated. When I was in college and law school, I did construction work. I worked in a corn milling factory. I know bad smells. I know dirt and I know grime up close and personal. Those are actually pretty good, that's actually pretty good knowledge to have as both a lawyer and a judge. In terms of my legal practice, I was in a general practice firm. We were a litigation firm primarily, and I litigated all types of cases. I did everything from criminal defense to products liability and personal injury claims on the plaintiff's side. I represented parents and children, both as an attorney and guardian ad litem in juvenile court proceedings. I did dissolution of marriage litigation as well. I helped one of my partners negotiate professional sports contracts. In the 10 years that I was in private practice, I probably represented well over 24 individuals who were either charged with or convicted of Class A felonies. During the course of my experience on the trial court bench, I served as a district associate judge in Scott County. When I was appointed in 1993, the docket for myself and one other district associate judge consisted of 2,700 indictable misdemeanor cases. By the time I was appointed to the district court bench in 1999, that docket had expanded to over 5,600 cases. The same 2 judges were handling that docket. We had to adapt and adjust to how we dealt with the cases and how we dealt with the people to meet those responsibilities. As a district court judge, I've presided over every type of case that comes into our court system. I've handled or presided over multi-million-dollar products liability claims, and I've presided over small claims cases. I've presided over divorce cases and domestic abuse cases, child in need of assistance and termination of parental rights cases. I've heard everything from municipal infractions and simple misdemeanors to Class A felonies. I have experience both as a lawyer and a judge in just about every type of case that comes before the court. Also as a judge, I was fortunate to be the first judge to organize and preside over the Scott County Drug Court. That was an enlightening experience, both in terms of investigating drug courts and setting up Scott County's process, and also in presiding over it once we got up and running. The experience that you get when people are redeemed and are able to rehabilitate themselves and make something of their lives through the programming that you've offered to them and through the guidance that you've offered to them is particularly rewarding. As part of that process, near the end of my tenure at our first graduation ceremony, an individual approached me at the conclusion of the ceremony who had been there just to observe as a member of the public. I did not recognize that individual. He came, shook my hand, and thanked me for my work in setting up the drug court program and its operation. He said that he wished that it had been available to him years earlier when I had sentenced him to prison. He then told me that what I had done was the best thing that had happened to him in his life. He was able to quit using drugs. He said at that point in time that he had been sober for 6 years, and he was extremely fortunate and happy to be in that condition, that he had become a productive member of our society. And he handed me a Narcotics Anonymous medallion that he had received for his 5th year of sobriety. I keep that medallion in my desk drawer as a reminder of what it is that we do as judges. Ultimately, no matter what level of court you're on, the decisions you make have real impact on people's lives, and I appreciate the opportunity to have done that for that individual and the other individuals that I was fortunate enough to supervise in the drug court operation. Also, as a district judge, I was involved in a committee that helped design and plan for extensive jail addition in Scott County. Also, as part of that planning process, I was involved in creating and planning for an in-jail substance abuse treatment program. Most of the people within our court system on the criminal docket have substance abuse problems, and if we're going to rehabilitate those individuals, we have to deal with those substance abuse issues. And that in-jail treatment program has had marked success in its operation and in helping the rehabilitation of criminal offenders at the local level. Currently, I'm serving on what is called the Clinton County Justice Coordinating Commission. That's a cooperative effort that the Clinton County Board of Supervisors, the Clinton County Sheriff, the County Mental Health and Substance Abuse Coordinators, Correctional Services Department, and the court system are engaged in to help improve the efficiency of the justice system in Clinton County. And the justice system goes way beyond the court system. It includes those other entities that are involved in providing justice to all the citizens of the county, That commission has been in operation for less than 2 years, and it was just recently selected to be part of a national network of similar commissions, one of 12 in the country that are in that new national network. That network is being funded by the Bureau of Justice Assistance of the United States Department of Justice, and it's being organized by the Justice Management Institute, the Pretrial Justice Institute, and the National Association of Counties. I'm proud of the work that I've done in those regards. I believe very strongly in public service. Public service is why I chose to go to law school. Public service is why, as a lawyer, I continued to accept court appointments long after it was financially disadvantageous for me to do so. Public service is why I sought appointment to the District Associate Court bench and then the District Court bench, and it's why I'm here today. I urge the Commission to consider my qualifications, and I hope that you'll help me in my efforts to continue to provide public service to this state and broaden that public service across the state with my nomination to the Supreme Court. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. Are there any questions? Mr. Brody?
Judge, welcome this morning. Want to make one note on your introduction that if you're looking to get back out in the field and you want to detassel, or if you want to self-pollinate or walk some beans, I know a place where we can put you to work very quickly. But in all seriousness, you noted in your introduction, you noted in the material the amount of workload that increased when you were the Associate District Court. And what I was wondering was, what skill sets did you learn and bring to that accomplishment, is the way I would view it. But also, what skill sets would you bring to your role on the Supreme Court, given that experience?
Well, in connection with that experience and the skill sets that I utilized, number one, as it's 2 judges handling that docket. We didn't divide the cases as some districts do, where every other case would be assigned to one of their particular judges. We handled that docket jointly, and so part of that involves being able to work with that other judge and coming up with a plan that both of us were comfortable with, and then implementing that plan so that we could handle the caseload. One of the biggest problems that occurred in that expansion of the caseload was that we would end up with a number of cases that would be set for trial on Monday mornings. Many times we'd have 20 to 25 cases set for jury trial for 2 judges on Monday morning. Is incredibly inefficient. And one of the things that we did was we created a process by which the county attorney's office and the defendants and defense lawyers would have to appear for a pretrial conference on the Thursday before the Monday. And we required that if the case involved necessary witnesses that were lay people for the state, that those witnesses be available. Our experience had been that many times the state's witnesses didn't show up on Monday morning, so we would have called jurors in for jury trials that ended up not happening. Very costly to the court system to do that. So that was one of the ways that we dealt with managing that docket, cutting down the costs in the system. The other things that we did, unfortunately, involved doing more things in writing rather than in person. It's not ideal, but unfortunately it was necessary to shift to more written guilty plea forms and written sentencing orders rather than have the defendants appear personally because you just couldn't manage the numbers in the amount of time available.
Any other questions on this side of the table? Mrs. Redenbaugh?
Yes, Judge. Thank you, and congratulations on your success with those rehabilitation programs. That's
Thank you.
exciting. We have, as you know, 12 to, I don't know, over a dozen district judges who've applied for this job. And I wonder if you would speak to helping me determine what the criteria is for distinguishing among them and which ones might be among our 9.
I'm not sure that I'm in the best position to answer your question. I have not really paid attention to the other candidates. I focus on myself. I'd like to make your job easier if I could. I'm not sure that I can. I suspect that all the district judges who have applied are very well qualified. I can only speak for myself in terms of the diversity of the experiences that I've had, both as a lawyer and a judge, as perhaps setting me a little bit apart from some of those other individuals.
Ms. Lawler, did you have a question?
I do have a question. Hi, Judge. Good to see
Good
you
morning.
again. First of all, I want to tell you I share your corn detasseling experience. I regarded it as slave labor, frankly. It was not the most fun. Anyway, I wondered if you could speak to what you see as the strengths and the weaknesses of the court, and what, if any, changes you would like to see made.
Well, I think historically our court really has operated very well. I think that historically our court has been a very collegial court on a personal level, at least from the contacts that I've had with people who have served on the court over the years. That's been true. I think that's very helpful. You read about all the different substantive viewpoints at the U.S. Supreme Court, for example, but at the same time, you see Justices Breyer and Scalia able to engage with one another on a very cordial, personal level, even in the context of oral arguments. And I think that the Iowa Supreme Court historically has been much the same, that the members can disagree about particular legal issues, but really are quite able to engage on a personal level in a real camaraderie, and I think that's important. I believe strongly that laughter is a good tonic, and when coworkers can share a meal, can have a conversation about about personal relationships rather than work relationships, and can laugh with one another, that's very helpful. And I think that's something that I would bring to the court. I think if you talk with my colleagues, they would tell you that I have a good sense of humor, that I can poke fun at others and I can be poked fun at and take it. And I think those are all important skill sets to have. Obviously, I believe that, currently 2 members of the court are from the Des Moines area. I think that greater geographic diversity on the court would help the court in its decision-making process, not only in terms of life experience, but primarily in terms of legal experience. Our state has 8 different judicial districts. The legal culture in each of those districts is different. Quite frankly, it varies from county to county within the districts. And so I think when you bring that experience to the court from a variety of locations and judicial districts, that really does enhance the court's decision-making process, both legally and administratively.
Any questions? This side, Ms. Dixon.
Good morning, Judge. In your opening statement, you referenced when you were in private practice that you had defended, I think, 1 or 2 dozen Class A felonies.
Couple dozen.
If you could just speak to that criminal experience and how that's helped you on the district court and how that would help you at the Supreme Court.
Well, Class A felonies obviously are the most serious offenses in our state. They consist of murder in the first degree, kidnapping in the first degree, and sexual abuse in the first degree. They carry mandatory life sentences without parole, except if you're a juvenile now. The stakes on those cases are clearly at the highest for the individuals involved, not only the defendants, but the victims and their families, and the court system in general. And so, both in terms of representing those defendants and in terms of presiding over those types of cases as a judge, it's important that the public understand what your role is as a defense attorney and as a judge. It's important that there's a perception of fairness in the process for everyone involved. And so that experience is something that I would bring to the court. It's until you've actually defended someone whose life is in your hands, and I know we don't have the death penalty in our state, but their life truly is in your hands. If you're representing an 18 or 19-year-old who's looking at spending the rest of his life in prison, you have an awesome responsibility on your shoulders to do the best job that you can. And as a judge, I can tell you that sentencing an 18 or 19 or 20-year-old to prison for the rest of their life, in essence until they die, is an awesome responsibility. You have a great deal of empathy for the victims in those cases, and you have a great deal of empathy for the parents of those individuals who are sentenced to that kind of sentence. I don't think anyone who's ever done that and seen the anguish and despair in a parent's eyes and face forgets that.
We have time for one short question from the side of the table. Seeing none, I guess the red light saves you. We really thank you for coming here today and wish you the best of luck, Judge.
Thank you.
Thanks, Judge.